Hello, welcome back to Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger on April 12th, 2022. We're here in my kitchen because the training room is really cold, and what I am going to show you guys today, we can actually do it here in the kitchen, although most of the time I'm a little bit more comfortable doing this in the training room because of safety concerns. Um, Today I'm going to show you guys a new blade I got for home defense. I'm going to talk about it, its pros and cons, and I'm going to give you guys a few little pointers for those of you who are not trained in swordsmanship and might need to know some of this stuff, especially for defensive maneuvers and home defense purposes. But first, a little bit of background. I have been looking for a desk sword for a long time. What is a desk sword? This is a bit of a tradition for Chinese people. Traditionally, Chinese people, no matter if they were martial oriented or if they were scholarly, would always keep a sword, usually a short sword, on their desk. And this is not just for ornamentation. The sword has to be functional because this sword is both served as a ways to keep evil spirit away from whoever is sitting at the desk. But more importantly, this was the primary home defense for the scholar or the martial artist, the soldier, whatever. So usually they would have a sword right at the desk when they were writing or studying. This was a tradition for Chinese people. So I've been wanting to honor that tradition myself. So I've been looking for a desk sword, but this is actually quite difficult to find because there are a lot of swords out there that are too long. If I'm going to have a sword on my desk is already really cluttered, so I don't want a gigantic two-handed claymore or a full-length katana on my desk. That's just going to take up a lot of room. So size is a consideration. Second, uh, I don't want something that is just ornamental. I want something that is functional, that if I do need it, I can take it out and defend my home with it, and trust my life with it. Something that is functional. And third, I don't want it to be super expensive because, well, budget is a concern. And if you are going to have a sword right there on your desk, let's face it, if you are not home and someone breaks into your house, they might not take your computer or monitor because it got too many cables and wires that they have to unplug everything. But if you got a fancy looking sword in a leather scabbard sitting there, most likely they are going to take it. So you don't want to invest in a $2,000 sword just to put on your desk where everyone can see it. So now we have price, we have size, we have functionality. There are several things for consideration. That is why it took me this long to finally settle my mind on one. I'm not 100% happy with my choice, but so far this is the best choice I have found. And I'm going to show you guys the do's and don'ts and whys and why not of it. Also, let me caution you guys again. It is very important if you are serious about your self-defense to think about this. No matter where you are in your house, keep in mind anytime, morning, night, you may be cooking, you may be sleeping, you may be in the shower. You may suddenly hear a loud noise and you go, oh crap, someone just smashed in my window. I don't know how many people is in my house right now. I don't know what weapon they have. What should I do? Okay? So always be prepared. In this house, no matter where I am, I always have something I can use to defend myself with nearby, within a few steps away, even when I'm in the shower. So even when I'm in bed, even when I'm sitting on the toilet, someone break in, I'm not going to be totally defenseless. My phone is also always nearby, so I can call 911 if I have to, and I always know where I need to retreat to for the best chance of survival. So you've got to keep all these things in mind for uh, a full self-defense mindset, not just what knife you're going to carry today, or what sword you're going to buy to cut off that tree in the backyard. Okay? It has to be in the back of your mind 24 hours a day, and you got to be prepared. And whatever you have nearby, you have to know how to use it, know how to utilize it. Now, without further ado, let's look at my new desk sword. This is United Cutlery Block ronin Wakizashi. 7-inch blade, stainless steel, cord rack handle, wrapped also in full ray skin. With the handle, you're looking at maybe 23 inches of full tang one-piece construction. Very slender blade. Perfect for my desk. Okay, it doesn't look bad, and it's small enough to fit there without getting in the way. Now let me talk about the advantage of this piece. One, it's pretty cheap, but not horribly so. This one cost me about 80 bucks, and it definitely on the cheap end as swords go. But for something that I'm not going to take outside and whack trees with, just going to sit on my desk and be good for self-defense, it's good. It's good. It is also very slim. If you look at the profile of this, even when it's inside the sheath, it's no thicker than a wallet, which means this can go into a lot of nooks and crannies. Like I can stick it in underneath the drawer if I want to. I can stick this between the cupboard and the wall if I have to. This can sit under a couple of large books on my desk or under a cardboard box. It's going to be easily hidden, concealed, easily concealed. So it's not going to take up a lot of space. It's easy to tuck away. Also, the United Cutlery Black Ronin also come with this hard injection molded sheath. A lot of time, when you get a low end sword like this, they come with a nylon sheath. And let me caution you out there, do not buy sword with nylon sheath. Those things are just accident waiting to happen. Quite often, people injure themselves and the sword poke through the other end of the sheath. Okay, so don't get anything with nylon sheath. If you have to throw in 5 or 10 bucks to get something with a hard molded injection sheath like this, get it. Why? Because it is safe. Okay, it doesn't require a lot of extra buckles or stuff like that to keep the sword in there. It's snapped in there, and I can take it out, shake it, and it's not going to slide out. But if I have to, let's say I have this on my desk, and someone suddenly come in the window, I can extract my sword one-handed really quick, just by pushing on the sheath with my thumb. Also, with a hard molded injection sheath, once you extract the sword, this sheath, assuming it is not strapped to your belt or your body, I hope it's not. If you walk around with this strapped to your person, there's something wrong with you. Okay, this can go in the hand that is not holding the sword. This can make a blunt thing to smack the person with or to block incoming attack with if the person who break into your house has a knife on them. Okay, this is going to be your shield. This is solid enough. It's plastic. It's probably not going to stop a baseball bat, but stopping a knife, no problem. Right? Now talk about the blade itself. Like I said, the blade is 17 inches long and curved like Wakizashi or katana. Although that's being fancy, it really is more like a machete. Right? It's quite broad. It's about 3 fingers width and quite hefty for such a small sword. As you can see, there's no guard between the handle and the blade, which is why it has such a slender profile, but it does have a notch between the hilt and the blade where your finger can go in to give you that secure grip so it's not going to slide through your hand. The handle is also very long and very slim. This is a perfect sword for ladies or people with small hands. This is both good and bad. For me, it's bad because the handle make it really wonky in the hand because it's too small. Like I can totally see if I go and take a cut. This you can already see it when I swing this. The handle is twisting and turning, trying to twist in my grip because it's too small. It's too skinny. Okay, but for a lady, this is good. It's a good handle and it's long enough for you to get a two-handed grip so you get a full body swing, full body stabbing motion in there, right? Looking at the back of the blade, it is quite thick. Uh, this is a very sturdy piece of metal. And honestly, this basically just looks like someone took a metal bar and hammered the blade into one end and then wrapped the other end with cord and faux leather and call it a day. No, nothing fancy. It's a very functional. It is short enough that you can get some quick hand action in there without exerting a lot of force. Okay, you can use with a blade like this. You don't need a full body swing. With a blade like this, you can rely a lot on your wrist, that whipping, that whipping force, just a rotate of the wrist to cut right, left, or from your angle, left, right, up, and then it's small enough, it's slender enough and light enough for you to utilize it one-handed, two-handed, for that quick overhead stabbing, stabbing, stabbing. Okay, it's very nimble. Uh, for home defense, this is really good because if I get myself in a hallway with this, I would be almost unstoppable. I can defend the hallway all day long with this. No one's going to get past me. Now with a really regular sized blade with longer blade, you won't be able to swing that in the hallway. But with this, no problem. Even if I'm right here in a corner where I don't have room to swing, I can do a lot of stabbing motion with this. And I can cut straight up from the hip. I can cut out from my body. I don't need a lot of room. Right? Now, those are the positive aspect of the United Cutlery Black Ronin Wakizashi. See, I can even hold a left-handed. I'm not even a left-handed fighter, but I can use this left-handed no problem. That's how light and nimble this is. Now, let's look at the problematic part of this sword. I already mentioned the hilt. It's very skinny, very flat. So for most guys, As these guys with medium hand and large hands like I do, you're going to find this really wonky to use because it's constantly trying to twist in your grip, and it's really hard to hold on to. It's almost like it's a sword with a grip made for a pocket knife. Actually, I have pocket knives that have grips bigger than this. So the size of the grip is a problem. Now, if it really bothers you, I would suggest you take off the cord and just wrap the grip with a lot of duct tape and electrical tape, and that will solve the problem, right? Number two, there's no guard. Usually, I feel much better when a sword or a long blade has a guard for my hand, but all this has is a finger groove. And the finger groove, while functional, is not really comfortable because, like I said, this is a one solid piece of metal. The edges have not been filed down, which means when I put my finger in the finger groove, there's a lot of these angular metal rubbing on my finger. And if I have to swing this hard, I can totally see this rubbing a lot of skin off of my hand. Um, Obviously, if I was working with my sword uh, practice, then I would wear gloves. But honestly, if you're using this for home defense, it's unlikely you have time to pull on gloves with someone breaking into your house, or you would have gloves on. So, yeah, on bare hand, this finger groove is functional but very uncomfortable. Last but not least, it's 17-inch long and it's stainless steel. Now, just in case you don't remember me saying this, stainless steel is not good for making long blade because stainless steel is really brittle. So if you just hit a person with this, you might be okay. But I definitely don't recommend you taking this out to whack branches or trees or do those cool cutting practice with this because with a blade longer than a foot, any blade longer than a foot, you run the risk of the force of your swing shattering the blade because it's stainless steel. So that is one thing I want to caution you guys with. This is not a training blade. This is not a testing blade. This is not a like cutter blade that you want to take out to the backyard and hack things with. Okay, this blade it looks sturdy, look hard, but it may be pretty brittle because it's stainless steel. So you'll be okay. You'll be okay if you're using it on organic matters like people or bears that just run into your house. But I definitely don't recommend you trying to bust through a wooden log with this. So those are the pros and cons of this blade. I think for myself, the pros outweigh the cons, but mostly because I'm very comfortable with blades. I'm a pretty decent hand with my swordsmanship. And I know, especially for someone who is blind like myself, a short blade like this gives me way more advantage than a long blade. Short blade like this still give me the advantage to close in with someone. If I could get a hold of the person, I still have a lot of stabbing room and cutting room. Okay, so that's just me. Uh, of course, the you are also talking about a sword that is less than $100, so you can't really expect much from it. Um, so depending on if you have a small hand, if you are looking for a sword that is easy to carry, easy to conceal, definitely come with a nice hard sheath that can act as a secondary defense in your other hand. So you can have your sword in one hand and the sheath in the other hand, ready to block incoming stab or attack. Huh? But if you are looking for something a little bit more heavier, more well constructed, or something that actually is like more like an actual sword rather than a machete, then you want to look elsewhere because this really they call it a Wakizashi, but it's more like a little bit of a fancy version of a machete. Now, before I go, let me give it a rating system. Like we usually go 1 to 5 stars, and 5 stars being the best, and 1 star being no good. If I want to be absolutely honest about this, I say I would give this a 3.5 star. It's functional, it's serviceable. It feels okay if I had a smaller hand. Uh, it serves its purpose, but there's things that could be better about it, definitely. So I would say you're looking at something like 3.5, maybe 4 star, depending on your personal preferences. I think what bugs me the most it is 17-inch blade on a stainless steel construction, which is just a little bit nervous for me because that's getting to the point where it's easily broken. Now, I want to leave you guys with a few uh, basic things you want to look out for when you are working with a blade like this. Since it is Tactical Tuesday, and I wouldn't be Tactical Tuesday if I didn't teach you guys anything. Now, I'm not like expert in Iedo or Aijetsu or any kind of Japanese super ninja technique or stuff like that. But I have worked in the self-defense field long enough and accumulated enough experience handling various type of bladed weapon, so I can confidently show you guys a few things that at least you don't need to go and take up a sword fighting class to know how to use this. Okay? Very simple. Someone break into your house, pointy end going to the person, like they said in Mask of Goro. Okay? There's nothing complicated about that. Pointy end going to the person, hilt face you, right? That is the most ridiculous but fundamental thing I can tell you about how to use this. Pointy end toward the person. Okay? Unless you are trained and you know what you're doing, don't try to do some crazy big laying it over the shoulder and swing and laying it over the shoulder and swing. Okay? Don't try to swing it like that. Right? Because most likely what would happen, because this is a short blade, so if you swing this hard, you miss your target, and this will come right back into your own arm, right? If I swing this hard and miss my target, this might go right down into my own leg. Like I said, unless you are trained and you know not to do that, you know how to stop your swing, like this, right? See how when I swing, I'm pulling and swinging. I'm cutting and slicing. And this is something that you have to train to do. So don't get fancy with this. Pointy end always aimed at the person. Get yourself into a nice defensible position and then pointy end aimed at the person. Don't try to go for the face. Drop your guard down to a low guard so you can keep the hilt close to your body and your bicep. So if the person rush you, your blade, your sword is not going to get jammed out of your hand. This will sit right back in against your bicep. Okay, this is the same in how to fight using a bayonet with on a rifle. Okay, always make sure the hilt is going to sit in to the crook of your elbow if someone suddenly rush in and grab your blade or get impaled on your blade. Okay? But the pointy end always face the person. Right? Remember, you don't need a lot of force. You don't need a lot of big motion. If the person moves left, you adjust your point slightly. further move the other way, you adjust slightly. Okay? As long as your point, the point of the blade, face the person, keep it on center mass, think about solar plexus or stomach, keep it at low. This way, if they suddenly duck down, this is why you don't hold it up like some weird samurai warrior. Because if you hold it like this, if someone suddenly duck and tackle you, you swing down, you will miss them. You, at the most, you'll hit them with a hilt. Okay? They already got their hand around your waist, and you swing down, you're not going to get them. Okay? So keep this nice and low, stomach level. This way, it's no danger to you, and it's a good buffer, good prevention between you and the attacker. If they try to kick you, you just turn the point down. If they try to rush you, you just push forward with the point. They try to duck down, you just lower the point. Okay, that's very little that's going to use up your energy. Keep the point low and center mass. Make sure the hilt settle back against your body. And if you have to swing, remember this is a short blade. You don't need a big arm swing. You don't need a full body swing. It's like chopping vegetable. All in the wrist. All in the wrist. All in the wrist. Right? If you have to switch to a two-handed grip, again, even with two hands, I'm making sure my back hand is seated into my belly. Right? So if someone suddenly jam my blade, my body is behind it. I'm not going to lose my grip. Right? If someone reach to grab for my blade, I'm going to pull it straight back. So if they grab it, this will cut their finger. Right? Again, keep it somewhere around the center mass, in the middle height. So if they try to rush or they try to come in low, all I have to do, drop the point. If they try to kick the blade, all I have to do is turn it so the point goes to the lid. They're trying to grab for the blade, I yank it straight back. Right? No hacking, no slashing. Right? With a blade like this, if you're not trained, just concentrating on poking, poking, poking. Right? Whenever you go to draw your blade, let's say your blade is on the table, on the desk, sitting there. Make sure that you draw and have an attacking point in mind. Okay, so this is to say, when I reach for my sword, most likely my attacker is already coming in. Uh, Most likely they're not across the room waiting for me to draw their sword. So the moment I draw this, I need to have the point in place. So if they are rushing, then this will deal with them. Never draw your sword with the blade facing you. Never draw your sword like this. Okay? The blade should always face outward when you're drawing your sword. No matter if you're holding onto the sheath, carrying the sheath, or have the sheath on the table, the blade should never be like this, facing yourself. Because when you're panicking, when you're nervous, when you're scared, there's a big chance the blade is going to cut you when you draw it. Okay, so the blade should always face out when you're drawing. So as soon as it's out of the sheath, it's already in position. In the end, it is a cheap little sword that does what I wanted to do. Um, I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm not unhappy with it. It's good. It's good. Uh, it's good enough. Thank you for checking out today's episode. We'll be back again tomorrow for some Wisdom Wednesday. For now, have a good night.